Hey folks, welcome to the third part of my weekend update. I'm Joe from Charting Star. It's Monday the 22nd of August, just before noon German time. And it will be about the Nasdaq and its FAANGs. And nevertheless, we will start off with the DAX because we just hit major support levels and we just hop into our 4-hour time frame cycle chart I got for you. And you see that precise hit of that bearish Wilbur wave wedge, and it hit that target line on the dot. We had the target line around at 13,269 and we got at the Cetera low now 264. So this pattern is done, and I just twittered that this blue zone is a major support. There should be at least a technical bounce. If I zoom out here a little, you probably understand why. It used to be resistance for quite a while, then we just gapped over it and reconfirmed that, and now we just dived back into that zone. It's also our cycle trough for today, so that might be a temporary low or even a nice bouncing area back into yellow. I will keep you updated on that. The next chart is also a 4-hour time frame based on the future, so these price levels, they run all the time. I was going for a WXY correction at DAX on my weekend update, and I was twittering this morning, but this one is coming down way too fast. So I actually see more or less like a 5-wave structure here to the downside, though that thing here on black, let me just get rid of that red one, and we probably drop a little further to that 161.8 to finish off that 3, and then we come up in a probably ABC to make that 4, and that 5 would be a nice finish at that 61.8, around 13,000 now. That would be my preferred scenario right now at DAX, just concerning Elliott. And the last chart we are looking at is the VDAX 1-hour time frame. I was giving you that bullish Wilbur wave wedge. I'm talking about that for almost over a week, and I said volatility is going to pick up, be careful, and it did. It jumped straight up here and ran through that target line, and once we can get rid of that wedge. And I was twittering that this morning. Once we hop into the daily time frame, we have an MACD crossing, and this one is a positive one. It's a bullish one for the VDAX. That means volatility is most likely to pick up even further. And I also mentioned that 30 area. Once we get over 30, there will be a lot of trading accounts to be wiped out, because then we have these crazy moves back in the markets. And yeah, just be careful. Once we hop over that 30 mark, we will see some crazy impulsive moves to both sides. So we're gonna continue now with the Nasdaq. So let's start off with a bigger time frame. This is a weekly. Down here you see these cycle brackets, which all suggest a low into early September, or if you consider just a blue one, even in October. And if we consider this one here as the half cycle top, which occurred in week 9, I can't really tell you now if it's only a corrective sharp pullback in order to retest that high or even higher, or if we see a major sell-off into September with new lows coming up. What I can tell you here, and I was giving you that MA50, that weekly moving average, which was support the entire 2020 and 2021, and then in January it broke and it got reconfirmed from underneath, like once, twice, a third time here, and 2 weeks ago we broke through it after testing it again, and last week we closed right at it. And yeah, just having a look at the future indications, we are right below it again, so that might have been a false breakout on the weekly. So yeah, we need to pay particular attention just concerning the weekly at that 30 MA. I think I said 50. I meant 30 at 13,187 for this week. And we're going to continue with the daily chart. And I was giving you that so-called descending broadening wedge coming from these highs, so the secondary high we made, and we made a nice confirmation here on the 8th of August, and then we pulled back and went straight through it. And I realized once we connect that top with this top over here, we basically just confirmed that other trend line, which might be also important, just underneath that 200 daily MA. So that might have been it. It was also right at the 61.8 retracement coming from that high over here to the lows. So either there's a major pullback and we try to break out again, or we actually retest these lows or even lower. So that's about the daily. And staying at the daily, we're gonna jump right into a 4-hour time frame of the VXN. So it's a VIX of the Nasdaq. So it's a volatility, and as you can see, it's picking up, and it's the same story what I showed you earlier at DAX. Even in the 4-hour time frame at the MACD, we had a crossing. So that means we had a crossing, a positive crossing, and momentum. So volatility is starting to pick up, and it's the same story as DAX. Once we jump here above 30 again, and that's actually resistance at the VXN, markets will go crazy again. And when we switch over into the daily, that crossing just occurred on Friday. And it's also positive reading, so momentum is changing in volatility. And same story as in DAX, once it picks up, be careful. There will be wild moves to either side. And considering the daily, here's actually another chart, I just forgot about it. It's a daily cycle chart we have, and try to blind out these blue cycles I put in here and try to focus, because this one moved out of sync. But we had the same story at the S&P 500 and DAX, what I was showing you on the weekend. Pay particular attention to these red one and that brownish one. And this one here suggests a low at the end of this week. And this one here would actually fit quite nicely with that cycle we have on the weekly as well on the 5th of September. That is that red one, and as you can see, we got that low with that red one quite nicely. We got these lows here quite nicely. We marked the low actually of June, the same as the brownish one, which runs actually quite nice as well. We got that low, and the next low is due at the end of this week, but I would be a bit more careful, because we actually need that low to confirm that new pattern we have on the brownish cycle here on the daily. Here's that Wilver wave wedge I was giving you also on the 4-hour time frame. We will have a look at that in a minute. Here the target line around at 11,859, and here will be that crucial point in my point of view. We can just give me a sec. Put a retracement area here, and somewhere on that 61.8, if this is a half cycle top and we pull back into here, watch that area. We might miss out that target line, but if we hit that 61.8 and we have a sharp reversal, that would fit very nicely to that cycle trough here of that brownish cycle. So keep that in mind. That might be an option at the end of this week. We're gonna switch over into the cash market 1-hour time frame, and that is that bearish Wilver wave wedge I just showed you on the daily. And last week I was showing you these precise hits on that trend line, that upper trend line, and Nasdaq is playing with it for like almost over a month now. So that actually tells us the market knows about that pattern, and even on Friday we hit that lower trend line precisely. Most likely we're gonna gap through that entire red zone to hit most likely that 161 extension from that first leg down. That might be wave 3, then we might see a bounce upon opening, and there might be another leg to hit that target line, or even that statistical target of that blue wedge here we have in the cash markets. And that's our last one, the 4-hour time frame. It's basically the same what I just showed you on the cash market. These here are based on the futures, but it's a price level indication. And I just wanted to show you one thing. That is at 61.8 retracement. We talked in the daily. We might pull back all the way down here and jump up again. But just having a look at these, because a lot of people I see on Twitter, they talk about impulsive structures here to the upside. I rather actually see zigzags, and they're full of zigzags in here. The only thing we miss are these cuttings, these overlappings, yes. But that's what zigzags look like, especially Nasdaq is like a master of it. And that move up here might have been the finish of an A, B, C to the upside, because there are so many different ways you can count that inner structure here, and that might have been the final wave 5 up here, before it actually counts as a finish. There might be still the possibility that we run down here and come up again. But as I said, we just have to wait 1 or 2 days to have a clearer picture of that whole move. So that's about the Nasdaq. Just have a look what I can show you on the FAANGs. Give me a sec. So here are the FAANGs, and we just go through a couple of them. I think Apple is the most important one, because Apple makes up 13.5% of the Nasdaq by now. And this shot I was twittering a lot, and it drives me nuts, to be honest. We were somewhere here, and I think I had that pass in here, and I said 162 all the way to 165, and then we most likely see a summer flash, and that didn't really happen. That black bold line is a lower trend line of a Wolver Wave wedge out of the weekly, and the red one here is a falling trend line from a descending broad ring wedge, and we made that third touch and activated that pattern last week. I will show you that in the daily later on. This is very strong resistance. Even this is a very bullish pattern, or usually these patterns are used to consolidate an up move, which occurred here since the middle of June. There's usually a pullback. So, and what I mean by pullback, there should be at Apple at least a 10% pullback or so. And what you see here as well is a very nice clean channel in this 2-hour time frame. And I was giving you that hint on Friday. Watch that $170 mark. And I think we finished at 171, and having a look at the indication right now, we're at 168 already. So Apple will most likely gap out of that channel. We have the same channel, by the way, in the S&P 500. And there's another pattern here, that blue one. It's called a ascending broadening wedge. So it's an ascending formation which opens up, so price is expanding, and it hit that pattern here, made that third touch. We have a first, second, third, fourth, fifth touch up here, and this is a bearish pattern. The target for that pattern is 153, and that will be my target for Apple as a pullback. I don't want to say the minimum, because Apple is just a different story. If there's a severe pullback, watch these target lines. We have plenty of them down here. If they work out, that would be quite nice, and yeah, I would be happy if these patterns work out. Once we jump into the daily, you see that pattern, that bold red line I was just showing you, that is that upper trend line of that pattern, a so-called descending broadening wedge. So we made that third touch, we spiked right through it, and then usually there's a pullback. So either we pull back to one of these retracements, or this was the top and we pull back aggressively for new lows. I can't really tell you, but yeah, that's what I meant in the Nasdaq. We have to wait for a couple more days and have a look what's going to happen. And in the weekly, we can have a look at these cycles. Here, that bearish Wolver wave wedge I was showing you. Here's that trend line where that bold black line was, and it went straight through, and now it's retesting that upper trend line. And we have to wait what's going to happen. Apple pulled back overall around 30%, but these cycles here, the brownish one, the blue one, and the red one, they are all nesting at around the beginning of September. And remember that cycle I showed you on the Nasdaq? Apple is showing exactly the same on the declining volume. We had declining volume here, we had declining volume here. It's picking up a little bit. You will see it on the daily. On Friday it picked up. So that might be a major sell-off. We just have to wait a few more days. Next one is Microsoft. Makes up, I think, up to 10% now. So we almost have 1/4 of the whole Nasdaq in these two companies. And what we see here is a 4-hour time frame. We have that symmetrical triangle at the bottom. We had the first touch, second, third, fourth, fifth, pulled back, broke out, hit that statistical target. So the minimum move of that thing here is done. Some people also see like an inverted shoulder pattern. So this line here is also like a descending neckline, and the targets might have been hit here as well. And my belief, it's 72% of the inner amount, and you take it up from here where it made the third touch of that inverted shoulder panel. I need to check if this is the case. Nevertheless, we have a bearish Wolver wave wedge in here, which has a nice reconfirmation of that target line in the middle of that pattern. And Microsoft started to pull back already. And here it's a little different story as an Apple. Yeah, when we have a look at Elliott, we see a nice 5-wave structure here as wave 1. Then we had a nice 5-wave structure to the downside as wave 2. And then we had another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It hit that 161.8 as wave 3, and it ended up in a very nice ending diagonal, which is our bearish Wolver wave pattern. And we could pull back now to their target line as wave 4. In the best case, we don't overlap and cut the 1. So we shouldn't really get underneath that 50% retracement from that move up here. And if we turn around here, we might hit that 100% target of that triangle, or even retrace to the 61.8 of that entire move down from the all-time high. So that's a story in the 4-hour time frame. And once we jump into the daily, we still have these two bearish formations in here, that shoulder pattern with that falling neckline. And this one stays valid until we break through that falling dotted line. So we might jump up here even to that 61.8 we just talked about in the 4-hour time frame, and then we pull back. We might even pull back to hit that target line. I left that bearish Wolver wave in here because it fits so nicely to that 100% target of that pattern here as well. Nevertheless, we bounced off that 50% retracement from that entire move up since March 2020 to the all-time high. So this is on the daily more the bearish side, but on the weekly we have opposite again. We have that bullish Wolver wave wedge, which has a target line at 340. So That's a different case. Here I put you that 5-wave structure that we might pull back now into that cycle low, which suggests a low, and it's a weekly chart here, by the way. It suggests a low at the end of this month, so even September, you have to give it like 1 or 2 weeks tolerance here for that trough. And then we might jump up as in wave 5, and then there might be another intense leg to the downside into October, because we have these cycles not really matching up, and that nesting area is like almost 6 weeks on the time length of on the time scale. So that's about Microsoft. Yeah, having a look at Alphabet, I only got like one chart for you. It's a daily chart, and this one is actually very clear. We have that rounding top here at Alphabet, which is almost perfect. But once I zoom out here a little bit, you see these cycle brackets here as well. I gave you that Adam and Eve. It's like a pointy mountain and that little hill beside it. It's basically a shoulder head shoulder pattern without the left shoulder. And we hit that statistical target. I took that out. The 100% target of that pattern is still waiting at $97. And just concerning here, these waves again, we have one impulse to the downside, an ABC up as wave 2, a third wave down. And once I measure that, it had almost hit the 161 here as well. So this counts as a proper wave 3, and now we are moving basically sideways in that rising channel as wave 4, my understanding, and that might have been the top. And we are already on the way on the last leg down as wave 5 to hit that target, or even that 100% zone of that first leg, which is around 95, or we even go further down to hit that 61.8. I would say that that cycle here, it had a trough suggested at the 3rd of, in the week of the 3rd of, no, it's actually there, these are days. So this one is more precise. On the 3rd of August, and this one here qualifies for that low. So we might get another sell-off into that half cycle here at the beginning or half, at the half of October at Alphabet. Let's have a quick look at Amazon. 4-hour time frame, and what you see here, considering the all-time high to that trough here, we retraced 50% of that down move last week, and we had that fake shoulder head shoulder pattern here, which turned out to be that we confirmed that bottom like 4 times, and now the price is rising into that wedge, that bearish wither wave wedge, which has a target line at $111. And yeah, I won't go into that count, because you could count it as a 1, 2, 3 coming down to a 4, 5, or this one here finished off in an EDT, which is not that clear in these smaller time frames. But once we hop into the weekly, same story as at Apple or Microsoft. This red cycle suggests a low at the last week of August. So there might be a pullback or a sell-off or a pullback, and we see another high, go back to one of these retracement and pull back into next year. We had already 46% of that sell-off here. Here you see that bottom, which got confirmed 4 times. And that green line down here, it's coming actually from that bearish wither wave wedge. It's a huge pattern in the weekly, and this one has actually a trend line at $47. Right now I don't really see it happening, but yeah, we just have to be a bit more patient. I think the next few days will also give us a better picture about Amazon. Next one is Nvidia, and we have a 4-hour time frame, and what you see here is a very clean rising channel, which could be also a bearish flag. We have 3 confirmations on the bottom, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the upper trend line. So this one is a valid, very clean rising channel, and once it breaks down here, that might set up another sell-off into new lows. I put that declining neckline here as well, because there's also a left shoulder ahead and another right shoulder of an inverse shoulder head shoulder pattern. It's valid, it got activated here. I didn't put the targets here because I just wanted to wait what's going to happen here. Either we confirm this trough here or this one, or we flush straight through. So I just wanted to wait, as I said, the next following days, what's going to happen. The NVIDIA has also a shoulder head shoulder pattern on the daily. We missed out the statistical target, even we went down already 57.1%. We made that little bullish Wilbur wave wedge, and we confirmed that target line like at the beginning of August already. So we actually can take this one out. Even we pull back here, if we don't make new lows to hit these targets here, we might come back up here into that red zone and retrace into one of these retracement levels. But also at NVIDIA, I see, let me just check. That could be a valid WXY correction because this is 100%, but since this leg here is already longer than this one here, could be also a 1, 2, 3, and we are in that 4 right now before there's a final wave 5. So be patient about NVIDIA as well. Tesla is the next one. 2-hour time frame, same time frame what we had a look at Apple. We had that triangle here, that symmetrical triangle at the bottom. We hit these 100% targets. I was triggering that, and now we have 2 bearish patterns in here. It's that a rising wedge, which overshot here. I didn't put targets in here, but I can tell you what, it won't be that accurate. But that would be the 100% move, taking off from this side where it broke. Let's rather take this one here. So that would retest these lows here if that blue wedge breaks to the downside, and there's that bearish Wilbur wave wedge here, that red one with that very, very steep target line, but that is a crash. I don't really see that happening right now at Tesla. At Meter, daily time frame, we didn't even come up to that 23.6 retracement from that sell-off. We confirmed that bottom like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but if Meter is not done yet, this could turn out to be a bullish Wilbur wave wedge where we just miss another lower low. So in the best case, we just hit that line down here, which runs around the $138 mark. So that might be a nice turnaround pattern for Meter in the next couple of weeks or even month. And last but not least, I got Advanced Micro Devices. What do we have there? There was also that very clean shoulder panel with that horizontal neckline. We missed out that statistical target. We missed also out that 61.8 retracement. We pulled back already 55.8%. That bearish Wilbur wave wedge here got run perfectly into that target line, so we can get rid of that. So we still have these open targets, and same story as at Microsoft. As long as they don't take out that high here at 164.46, these targets remain valid. So we might retrace into that box here. Oh, this one is not updated, excuse me. So we might run up all here to the 38. We retraced already 23.6, and we pulled back on it. And yeah, this one became support now, as you can see, the 23.6. So once we go underneath it again, AMD is in trouble. And there is another weekly chart. It's funny that all these cycles, they suggest a low also in September. So AMD might pull back all the way down here into that 60 area. That will be the 61.8 retracement from that move since March 2020. So yeah, a lot of these FAANGs, they suggest a low in September, at the beginning of September. So we have to wait what's going on. And again, if you like my video, just give me a thumb up or subscribe me. Try to support me. As I said at the beginning, the more we are, the more often I will post and update these charts. So yeah, I wish you all the best. Be careful. Don't forget to put a stop loss. And I see you on Twitter this week. Thanks for watching.